What's up guys, Scapegoat here, and today we're going over the newly announced Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling Simulator game coming eventually. There's no date announced yet, however it is titled Master Duel, and we're not sure if that title is going to stick or if they're going to redo the title. It's just a placeholder title for now. Before we go into this any further, I just would like for you guys to consider subscribing or following to all my media below in the bio, my Twitter, my Twitch, my Instagram, my Facebook, and most importantly my Discord. We have a flourishing community. We do a lot of giveaways for free stuff. I know you see all my OCG merch in the background. I do a lot of giveaways for those, and we have some ongoing frequently, as well as speculation, talks of the future games. We go over the regular TCG community for the physical card game, Duel Links, and soon to be Master Duel. So be sure to follow all that if you would like, and let's just get right into it.
I can always count on my sheep, my quick play spell Scapegoat. You can mop him up for me.
So where do we get most of our information? Well, we have, I think, about 3 sources. So mostly we are getting our information from Jump Festa. That just happened this weekend if you're watching this, and that usually goes over all of the anime content. And we're also looking at Duel Links Meta, also known as DK, for his speculation as well as input, as he gotten leaked information being a world championship Duel Links player. So he has some access to some information that we all don't normally have, so we'll definitely take a look at his input. Obviously it's very valuable information. So what is the one piece of information that is relevant from DK's video and information at this time? Well, we know he was told quite a while in advance. There's no specific date told. However, he was definitely told at a World Championship qualifier event, and we know that has not happened this year, so it may as well be as early as a year and a half ago, if not more. So we know this game was in the thoughts or in production for at least a year and a half. They already know that they're modeling it after Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So I'm pretty sure they're on schedule for a pretty fast release. It's looking like it's going to be released fairly soon, I would assume. So what piece of information do we know from Duel Links Meta, also known as DK, that is very relevant and important for this time? Well, that would be the information that this information was given to him at a earlier date, dating as far back as a World Championship qualifier, and knowingly we did not have one this year. It had to have been at least a year and a half ago, if not longer. So we know this game was in the thoughts or production for at least a year and a half, putting this on pretty good pacing for a quick release either this year or the following. So hopefully we can look forward to that. Unfortunately, we didn't get a look at the game or any information other than a Duel Links application that is already out, so it's going to be kind of based off of that. So we know it's going to be similar to Duel Links. However, the only change they offered us as information was the fact that it'll be a master rule. So we don't really know what that specifically means. We do know that obviously we're going to be playing, master rule with 5 spaces in the main monster zone. However, we don't know if the application is progressive or if it's just going to be a straight up release. Are we going to start from LOB and make our way all the way down to the latest set, or are we going to just have everything at the get-go? That would imply if we started at LOB, we would have the very first master rule and work our way up similar to duel stages, like we go from DM, GX, 5Ds, and from there our master rules would change progressively, similar to basically starting all the way back in 2002. I think that was the era, just playing the whole history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like most YouTubers are right now. So given the phrasing that they use master rules, even though the title for all the master rules is master rules, just with numbers or titles that are differentiated from each other, I do want to assume that we're going to have a progressive game where we start as LOB and end with the most current set. So I do think we will start without the extra monster zone and then play through the game until we achieve that zone for the specific era that you would normally achieve it from, the Link era. Some things we do want to think about for this application, and we can consider the possibilities of trading. Will there be trading for this and other information that we're going to look at in this video? We can kind of take a look at Duel Links, and we can take a look at all the prior Yu-Gi-Oh! games. No Yu-Gi-Oh! game has ever had a trading function, so therefore I don't believe we'll have a trading function. And like Duel Links Meta says, we do not want to be adding value to accounts, so they're probably not going to be wanting to do trading for that reason, for whatever reason that may be. So what kind of unique features do we think will pop into this game? Do we think like features like trading will be in this game? And from DK's opinion, it does not appear that he thinks there will be trading. I also do not think there will be trading. My basis on that is because if we look at every prior Yu-Gi-Oh game and the central focus of this game being it's based off of Duel Links, there is no trading at all. And like DK says, it adds value to your account, and Konami does not want you selling your account or anything to that regard. So we're thinking the game will be progressive. Will that mean we can have access to purchasing singles? I know singles is a hot topic for people. If we're doing a progressive game, will we have access to singles? And if you pretty much just look at Konami's business model, we don't normally typically have access to single cards. We only really have access to packs and structures. We do have the card trader in Duel Links, so I would assume something similar for Master Duels, where we could pick up maybe promos and similar cards like that via progression, because obviously you can't necessarily get Shonen Jump promos via regular progressive play. So maybe the card trader will be implemented in a way where we can get promos or special cards from him, or cards that are pretty easily accessible via main set packs or whatnot. So given that this game is based off of Duel Links, we'll be expecting it to be heavily serviced in the way that Duel Links is serviced, meaning continuing updates, events, PvE, PvP, all that jazz, as well as ban list updates. More so if it's progressive, we kind of already know what they may or may not hit, given that we already have all of that information from the past Yu-Gi-Oh format. If we're looking at Duel Links, we see that it is a free-to-play game. However, there are pay-to-play aspects to it. I do think that this game will be a free-to-play game with those gem-related aspects to purchase packs. And speaking on prices for the game, I do feel like there's only 5 options we can follow to incorporate into this game that make most sense. Some are more likely than others, and however we are basing this game off Duel Links, I'm going to be saying that quite a bit during this video. I do think the way I said it prior will be the way we handle it. However, I did run a poll just to see what the interest would be on Twitter, to see what people would want. I only used 4 options because if I put the game was free and everybody would want access to all of the card pool for free, pretty sure everybody would pick that option, but I wanted to exclude that option and kind of review which ones people said they would prefer. So of the 5 business models for purchasing this game, speculation wise, we would have number 1 being it's a free-to-play game with access to every single card in the library with auto updates and all of that jazz. The second route would be similar to how Pokemon runs it, and we would have a free-to-play game. However, you know, options to buy cards in-game, as well as booster packs, which can be purchased physically with codes inside of them. So that seems like something that could potentially happen. I do think this is much more likely than the game being free with access to every single card. However, I don't think they will go through the routes of using codes inside of booster packs, as they have resellability, and that is something Konami does not like to see. And obviously we could just buy cases of cards and just sell the codes, so I don't think Konami's going to want to go through that. The kind of third business model that they could go through, and kind of a branching off the free-to-play, free access to every card, would be having a base price for the game with access to every card. So think maybe a $20 to $40 game with access to every single card, and to be used in that way. The fourth option would be having a system similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, where we have a free-to-play game and a gem system to purchase packs as needed or whenever you'd like. I do consider this one to be the more realistic goal for Konami, as it's already a working business model and Duel Links is very heavily successful. And the fifth option would be a free to download game with a monthly subscription, which would have access to all of the cards in the pool. From the poll survey that I did, you can kind of see over here that that was the least successful result. Kind of strange that majority of the ones that gave you free access to the card pools were kind of lower. However, the Pokemon model was the most top picked, which is very peculiar when given the option to having a base pay with all of the cards accessed for free. One thing I definitely think they will exclude from this game is the use of player skills. It was a very fun mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. However, this is going to be more based off of the current master rule, so I don't think they will include something gimmicky into that equation. They want to give players the master duel, master rule type of scenario, so I think it's going to be very strictly like the TCG, OCG, whatever's going on there. This game's coming from Japan, so do we think the list will be more OCG centered, centered, or are we going to have separate formats like TCG format? I personally think we are going to go back into an era back around the 2011-ish period where we were both merged with TCG and OCG and following the same list. Maybe potentially that will follow to the physical card game. I think this would be very much easier for Konami to kind of incorporate into the game, aside from if they do separated formats that you can join either or and participate that way. But doing one unified format would allow for the OCG and TCG to kind of play just like they do in Duel Links, and I think that's more of a likely business model they may go with, just to be more inclusive rather than separating, including everybody else from the equation. So given that this game will be very much like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, what are the good things and good features from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links that we would like to see in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel? Well, there's quite a bit of things that I would like to see. For one, we're not going to have character skills. However, I do want the characters, or at least some sort of avatar system involved. I do like seeing the characters, and I think a big reason why the game was so successful, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, was that we had all of the older characters that we could use and play with. So having Yugi, Kaiba, Jaden, Yusei, everybody else, or even have custom characters available if people want to make their own character. I think the unlocking system is still a good way to get people enticed in playing your game, so I do think character unlocks will still be a thing, maybe even voice line unlocks as well. I think dual accessories in the form of card sleeves and card playmats will also be a thing. They are currently a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. You've got a wide variety of sleeves and, you know, playmats to choose from, and they can be anywhere from freebies, event exclusive, YCS regional type of playmats, or even card rarities could also be an inclusive thing that you can add into that, kind of boosting a card rarity or getting a specific card rarity for X card. Kind of building off from what I just said, player events. Player events were a very cool thing to have in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It made the game much more livelier, always having something going on and playing in. So I do think having those events would be very useful, as well as even more PvP centered events such as like the regionals or YCSs that we can't really normally have currently. And if they're looking to replace this game with remote duels in any sort of way, to have us use this game as opposed to remote duels, I think it would be very beneficial to have a sort of regional event, or even YCS, or further than that, World Championship qualifiers, national championships, and all that stuff. So I think it would be very good to include that sort of thing into the game and use this as a sort of alternative to physical card play. If this game is to be a progressive game where we need to purchase all of the cards all over again, I do think sales would be a very good thing to include. Obviously, we don't want to buy everything at full price, and having the SR, UR sales as well as all other type of sales included in the game would be very good to include, as well as other products as well for card accessories, structured X, game tins, or whatever you want to include in that. Kind of like what I said before, I do think we will include dual worlds into the system, much like Duel Links has already, with DM World, DSOD, GX, 5Ds, Zexal World, and soon to be Arc V and Vrains World, I would assume. So I do think that we will have that sort of system in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, kind of progressively build up from the ground up, as opposed to getting everything at once, kind of overwhelming a lot of people. One of the big things I liked from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links was the card popularity. So they do have a function where you can look at card popularity rankings and, you know, that sort of thing. What's the best trap? What's the best spell? What cards are popular to pick up right now? I do think that's helpful for newer players to kind of get a grasp of what they should be looking out for if they're not playing a casual deck or something like that and they want to get into the meta. Other functions such as the card catalog, filters, and as well as how to get said card are very good things to include in the game as well. The deck limit currently obviously is something we cannot include. Obviously we're going for a master rule, so I'm assuming we're going to want 40 cards in the main deck, 15 in the side, and extra. I do think we will keep the PvE functionality of dual fatigue, meaning every person you play, it's going to deplete your meter and you're going to have to wait X amount of minutes to play again. However, with infinite possibility of playing PvP as much as you want, or even the gate duels to help progress your game state in the stages. I do think level up rewards will still be a major factor in the game to kind of give you a look at how progressive you're getting per each character, as well as include character cards for, you know, said character. I do think they'll make them a little less more viable in some way. If we're releasing Yugi and Kaiba at the get-go, I think they're only going to have their structure deck cards from the very first structure deck, nothing from like Metal Raider or anything from that regard, unless everything's released at once, then who knows. But I personally think they're going to tone it down a bit with the level up rewards and kind of give you things that were released in that time era, as opposed to powerful or crazy cards, unless they're promos that are hard to get or whatnot. Similar to that, they could have a duel gate that could constantly update and kind of be more inclusive for cards that the character would normally use. Once they achieve that date and like time that cards come out, they can kind of update with some older cards or newer cards, whatnot. The special missions or reward type of functionality found in the duel stages, I think those would be a good thing to add into the game, kind of having celebratory releases, giving out Winged Dragon of Ra, Blue Eyes Alternative, and all that stuff from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I thought those were great ideas, as well as giving free gems and tickets for past sets. And I also think if we are doing this from a progressive standpoint, I do think we should have access to starter decks, structure deck, as well as the items and special gifts that Duel Links provides for us in one way or another. Duel Links does provide us with some kind of decks that aren't typically decks that we would have purchased in the store, but they are cards from past sets kind of compiled into one. However, I do think that they will kind of build off from the real structure and starter deck and use those as opposed to what Duel Links was doing, as well as I think they would be including things like the Megatins or special editions, gold series as well, to kind of help players once they kind of catch up to a thing, similar to the collection packs in Duel Links, where you can kind of get all the cards you missed out on. So for my speculatory piece, what do I think this game will look like? This is all speculation, aside from that this is heavily going to be built around Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and the few opinions that Duel Links Meta has said on the topic, which he was confirmed with at the World Championship qualifiers. He knows a little bit about the game. Obviously, you can't say too much about the game, but these are my speculatory things of what we're going to see in the game in one way or another. I do think the game will be free to play, much like Duel Links, with a gem spending aspect where you can save and be a free to play player and use those gems as you like, or just spend all your money and buy every deck. I do want and kind of wish the OCG and TCG to merge their lists together. This will kind of help unify the game once again and kind of give everybody the same advantage, as opposed to having two separate formats and having to unify them at the end of a format where we would all play together at Worlds. I do think we would just benefit from having a unified playlist from the start and kind of go from there. This would also be very inclusive as a format to play against OCG players instead of excluding them from ranked play and all of that. Or we can just have separate formats, TCG, OCG, and just kind of do what we normally do in the physical game. I 100% think we will have a 40 to 60 card main deck with a 15 extra inside deck. That is what we normally do for the Master Duel rules, so I do think that will apply here as well. One thing I think they will do is increase the time limit of turns. We do know there are a lot of decks that take a lot of time per turn, and with the current Duel Links setup for time, I think those decks will kind of lose out on that aspect of gameplay. So I do think in one way or another we increase the clock for time a little bit, not too much, kind of making those players kind of play a little faster if they want to play those combo decks. However, not giving them too little time to discourage them from playing those decks. I do think this deck will be progressive from LOB onward, including the little LOB sets, the main sets, the special edition sets like Gold Series, Megatins, structure decks, and all of that. I also think tournament packs will be a thing if we are including things like locals or regionals and all of that jazz to kind of get those cards in rotation as well as they came out. I think this game will mimic a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links in terms of PvE. That's all the offline gameplay in which you're playing regular character events, leveling up your characters and all of that, character fatigue, and I do think they will add a lot more to the PvP aspect, as they are trying to appeal to the players of the Master Rule and the physical card game, so they want to add a little more to the PvP aspect. And ultimately, I think they're going to include everything else that makes Duel Links great. It's a very successful game. I can't even remember the amount of people that downloaded the game, but I know it's a lot. It's been the top in the app stores. Them not having regulated form of play for a dueling simulator for a long time kind of hindered them, and now they are working towards it. So I think this is going to actually boost them to closer to the top of the TCG card games. We're not confirmed if this game is... We're unsure if Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels will be on the PC and or mobile. I'm pretty sure it'll be on PC. As for mobile, it is a little hard to get all of that information on one screen. However, given the massive success and popularity of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling and having that on mobile, giving that quite a helping hand, I think they will find a way to incorporate that onto mobile just to get more downloads flowing into the game and more people playing the game. So remember, if you do want to keep up to date with Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels, I'm going to be focusing my channel around that when it releases, hopefully getting more into that game, as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and the actual physical card game. We're going to be going over all of that on this channel, as well as the Discord if you want to check that out. We will be looking into having tournaments, as well as helpful game information, tips, tricks, you know, deck lists and all that sort of thing. So be sure to look out for that, and be sure to follow me on all my social media. I'm Scapegoat, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.